Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Here we are, another day with a camera. Me, Carrie, Edgar, and the world, the universe. This might be going global. This might be going universal. Who knows? Aliens might be watching this. What's new? What is going on? Anything snapping?
We went for a drink in a beer garden yesterday.
We did go for a little drinky poo in a beer garden. It was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really nice.
There was not many people there, so very social distance.
It was a really weird pub. It sort of feels like it's in the middle of like a residential street. Like, it's not sort of like you've got like a parade of shops and then a pub at the end of it. It's literally like on a bus route in between loads of like we were literally sat opposite people's like front gardens yesterday. It was really weird.
What I like about that though, because I'm thinking of the history, because that looks like quite an old pub, and around that area is a lot of like farmland.
Yeah.
So I think that pub was there for a long time, and that was like the farmers local for so long, and then those buildings around it have just popped up.
Yeah, it was a really nice pub. I mean, we didn't go inside, we just stayed outside.
Yeah.
But they had like an app called Round where you could like download it and order your drinks to your table, so you didn't have to go in, and you could like just pay on your phone, so you didn't have to touch any buttons or anything.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. Not too far. Go there again if you ever fancy it.
Yes, nice little walk.
Nice little
Got
walk.
over 10,000 steps.
Just ticking all the boxes. I think we need to talk about what happened yesterday, or yesterday's yesterday, depending on when you're watching this. The Palladium with Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was trying to make social distanced theatre work, even though he knows it doesn't work, but just experimenting. Like, how would it sort of work out if those safety measures were in place? But I think the main thing is that everyone knows that when a theatre is like 30% full, it's not viable. It's got to be at least 70% full for it to like break even. With social distancing still in place, I don't think theatres will ever open until that's like gone.
Because there's a video of Andrew Lloyd Webber's like speech yesterday, and I think his point is that we need a date, because it's no good for them to say, okay, tomorrow. Where like if they suddenly just go, okay, you can open now in a week's time, like it's kind of not good enough, because a show needs a certain amount of time to book up tickets again. It's not like everyone's found out that theatre's opening tomorrow and so it's going to be a full house. People need like time, and a show needs time to sort of get the ball rolling again. So I think he said for like a long running show, a show that's like all ready to go and has like a cast that's like rehearsed in because everything, you know, just stopped abruptly. For shows that are like ready to go tomorrow, they would still need between like 4 to 6 weeks to like get the ball rolling again and start earning the same amount of money, and you know, for things to be back to normal.
They'll have to sort out tickets, won't they? All that sort of ticket stuff. That admin will take time to sort out.
But for a new show, for a show that hasn't opened yet, like Cinderella and like Frozen, it's going to take months for that to sort of get up and running. So the point is that we need like a date, so that we have time to like work towards it and build it up, so that we can start going, okay, we're going to open on January the 1st, for instance. And so we know we have like a good few months to start selling tickets, promoting, rehearsing, building sets, doing costume fittings, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like building sets is like no easy feat. Those sets don't just go up like within a couple of weeks. It takes months for it to be built and, well, designed, then
and
built,
tested,
then exported to the theatre, then put up in the theatre. It takes time. Like, it's not just like a magic wand where you're like, okay, we've got a set. I did read this morning that like businesses in China are going to buy the theatres, which they're scared about happening if they don't get the funding, or don't get like, you know, if the UK theatres don't get the help they need, and you know, maybe a date so they know they can open, that it's going to get to the point where people are going to start selling, and all these theatres are going to be bought by big businesses from China. Apparently that's what Andrew Lloyd Webber said this morning.
I just want to fast forward to the middle of next year when everything's okay, and you know, everyone who owned theatres prior to this still owns their theatres, and all of the actors are back in work, and we look back and go, oh my god, do you remember when it was all really scary, but things are okay now? I just want to fast forward to that point, because I don't like this. This is rubbish.
Well done, Andrew, for the old like getting up on it and like doing it, and You know, he has the means, he has the money, obviously, but still...
He could easily just sit back and wait this out.
Yeah, of course. You could just sit back and go, okay, see you next year, and go on holiday, or go on his yacht, or whatever, go to his mansion, wherever it is. But he's not. He's like getting up and he's speaking, and he's speaking out.
The thing about Andrew is that he just loves theatre, and he loves musical theatre, and he just doesn't want to see an industry that he's poured so much into just die.
Yeah.
And when I say like poured so much into, I mean like love and time and energy and effort as well as money.
Yeah. I feel lucky to be in an Andrew Lloyd Webber theatre next year. That's all I'm saying. Because the Drury Lane is Andrew's, and
you're gonna be well looked after.
It feels like I'm in good hands.
Yeah.
Get it? I'm in good hands. I didn't actually mean that, but it just sort of came out.
Oh dear.
So I've been looking through the emails, lovely emails, fantastic emails, lovely, jubbly emails. A lot of games. People have sent us a lot of games. And I feel like because the last videos we've done have been game related.
Yeah.
But I'm trying not to do a game today. We'll do the games another day, but I don't want it to become like a game channel. Yeah. And before you know it, I've got a big wheel at the back, and you know, I don't know, and Edgar's like doing some sort of assault course. We're not going to do a game, but thanks for the games, and we'll do it. But lovely emails. This one is a little email from someone called Karen Home, all the way from Denmark. Hello, Karen. We sort of spoke about this before, but not in a way. I'm always intrigued about this topic, and I think because, well, one, we're like different. I feel like we do it differently.
Okay.
Trying to be vague just to build the suspense. Okay, so Karen has said, I'm not completely sure how to phrase this, but I have noticed that some musical performers tend to do their performances the exact same way every time they perform, and others, they vary their performance slightly.
Yeah.
Like show from show.
Yeah.
And it sort of concludes with, what do you guys tend to do? Is it hard to vary your performance when you've been doing the show for several months? So I think that's really interesting, because we've talked about the grey area before, like when you come into a show.
Yeah.
And you're taking over a role that already exists.
Yeah.
There is this sort of grey area which you can play in, but the crux of it is already set out for you.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing a show which has numbers on the front, and you're like, you stand on 4, then you move to 5, you know, it's very much regimented. I just want to sort of concentrate on like the actors we are. Because what would you say you do? What is your like philosophy in like acting in long running shows? What is your like go-to?
I just try to make things easy for myself.
Yeah.
And so I'll spend sort of like the first maybe like month playing and finding, and because things like change from a rehearsal room. Like you play in the rehearsal room and you find things that work, but then when you get on stage and you're in costume, things change again.
Yeah.
So I usually spend like the first month like finding what works, but then once I've found what works, that I find it and I sit in it.
It's like cemented.
Yeah, I mean every now and again something, because obviously like if someone else is doing something different, I then have to do something different.
Yeah.
Like, which is nice sometimes, it kind of keeps you on your toes, and sometimes you find different ways of doing things which then sort of like replace what you were doing before, and it's sort of like you have your main show, and then every now and again something will change, but this is like what it is.
Do you think that's because, and this is not a bad thing by the way, but I'm just thinking like, you've been in shows for so long as a child actor as well, which is, I guess, even more like, they're like, make sure you do that, you know, they're very much like, because they're taking care of you. They don't want you to get scared and go, oh my god, I've got my lines, you know. Yeah. It's easier or better to be so meticulous with child actors because it makes it easier.
Yeah, and they also don't want a kid to be like crushed by a set piece because they decided to do a different dance move that night. Like,
and you know what some kids are like? Some kids would do that, but if you're like, you can't do that. Stand there and make sure you say that line right there. Yeah. And do you think that has any effect on like your process now? Maybe,
because I feel like there's so many things that I do now that were ingrained in me as a child, like being early.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Like that is 100% a thing that my parents made sure that I was there on time, and on time wasn't on time was early. Yeah. Like if you were on time, you were late. Like if you walked in at 10 o'clock on the dot, that's late. if you're there at 20 to 10, that's on time.
Yeah.
That's just what's been ingrained in me my whole life. So I am like 20 minutes to half an hour early for everything. I don't know, just like simple things like turning up with like everything in a folder. I have a pencil case that will have like a pencil, several pens in different colours and highlighters. Like, just, I don't know, I mean, I treat rehearsals like school.
Yeah. Ready to learn.
Yeah, and if I don't have the right things, it just makes my life difficult, and it's a pain in the ass for everyone else around me as well. So
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I feel like performing is the same. Like, once I've found what works, like, it doesn't mean that I'm not like flexible, and that you know, every now and again I might go, oh, I might just try that different, or something might just come out different, and I like that better than what I was doing. That happened in Heathers so much. Yeah. I also feel like it's different with how much stage time you have, because I felt with Heathers I could play around because I was on stage for so long that if I just kept everything the same every night, I would have gotten bored. Yeah. So there were times when I did something different, and I interacted with so many different people who were also doing different things every night that it was impossible to keep everything the same. But with stuff like Eponine and Fontaine, also because everything's so regimented because it's to music,
there's not much
you can do, there's not much you can change. And like, it's not a show where you can riff or sing things differently. Like, that just isn't a done thing in classic shows like Les Mis or Phantom and that kind of stuff. Because everything's to music, it's not like you can leave a bigger pause there because the orchestra are just going to go without you.
Yeah, it doesn't really lend itself.
It doesn't lend itself to changing things. So once you find like a groove, you kind of have to sit in it because there's nowhere else you can really go. But yeah, I also feel like if you've got less stage time, you want to have it perfect every time, because if you've only got like 20 minutes on stage and you screw up
because you're changing stuff
if you like change something and it doesn't work, you're like, oh, that's such a huge percentage of my time on stage that I've just screwed up because I was dicking around and trying something different. Whereas if you're like on stage for 99% of the time and you change something that doesn't work, you're like, well, that's only like 1% of my show that didn't work.
It is interesting. I would put myself in the category of like, I like to change things about. But I've got a theory about this. And I think changing things about comes better when it's organic. Yeah. Like, if you're like, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, then, you know, I'm going to do this, and this is why it's going to be funny. You'll go out and do it, and it'll bomb. Like, I think of, like, Cameron Blakely, for example, probably the king of, like, changing things up. Yeah. I would, like, bet a lot of money on the fact that he doesn't sit in his dressing room 30 minutes before and go, yeah, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. He just goes out there and just, like, reacts and just acts and just does what he does.
Yeah, and if he has an idea, it'll be like 10 seconds before he does it. He'll go, and I'm going to do this, and like, just does it.
Yeah, and that's why it's so amazing. And I think when you do see people who are like that, so say you go and see Wicked all the time, for example, and the Glinda keeps changing it up, it's because she has that spark of like, creativity, like, but in the moment. I would be very surprised if Glinda is, again, like 30 minutes in a dressing room before the show writing down things, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this.
It'll be people who are good at improv.
Yeah.
Or people who find that, like, that comes naturally to them.
Yeah. Like, I like to do it, but I would also put myself in that category of, like, I don't pre-plan. Not saying that never happens, because that does happen, because you might be at home thinking about the show, you know, that night, and go, oh man, if I say it like that, I might get a bigger laugh. Yeah. Organically that might happen, like, because naturally the show's like your life, so you think about it a lot, especially if there's a line where you just can't land. Yeah. So naturally you're going to be like, I need to work out on this, I need to like work this out. Yeah. But yeah, I would put myself in that category of like trying to change things up, or not trying to, but just doing it. Yeah. Have you ever worked with someone, because in long running shows it's really hard to keep it like fresh, because I know I've worked with someone and I was playing opposite them, and it was like acting to an ironing board. I honestly could just like take my top off and pull down my trousers and do the rest of the lines, and I don't think it wouldn't have
fazed them, no.
they were in like, it was like acting with RoboCop. It was so funny though, what they used to do. Like, they'd be on stage and we'd be acting, and then say they wouldn't have a line for like 10 lines.
Yeah.
Everyone would be like, look at them. It'd be like, they'd be acting, hey, I'm acting, I've got a line. Their dialogue would finish and they'd be like,
oh, yeah.
and like nothing. And then they'd like, oh, hello. And then their line would come up and then you'll see them like sort of come alive again. Have you ever acted with someone like that?
Yeah. I was acting with someone once who yawned at me as I was saying my lines to them. Yawned at me. Literally was looking at me and went...
That is so funny.
I was like, for real? What?
Yeah.
Hello.
I think it's important to say, like, when people do change things about, we talked about the grey area before, like the things you can change, and I guess it is still in that grey area. It's frowned upon, really, if you're changing stuff so much that it's affecting other people's shows.
Yeah.
Or blocking or stuff like that, or the DSM, you know, calls the show and says like, LX2, go. Like, if you're changing lighting plots and like, and the way set pieces move now because you're doing something different, they'd call you into their office and go, hey, listen, we like that you're being organic and an actor, however, make sure you're standing on 4, because you're going to get hit in the head with chitty chitty bang bang.
Or you're out your light. And
yeah, you're out your light, that's a big one as well. So that's when people get really clever, is that when people can do it
without screwing up the show.
Yeah, that's like how to be really clever with it. So would you say it's hard to vary your performance then? Would you find it, you know, because you're doing a show like say 400 times a year, 8 shows a week.
Again, it's all dependent on the show. Like if it's something like Les Mis, it's really hard to vary the show because there's so much less room to change anything in.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that you could change things in is what your face is doing.
Yeah.
But even then, there's only so much you can do.
And I guess also it depends, I sort of touched on it, depends like who you're acting opposite with.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have that backboard, that person who like you like shoot or whatever, and they rebound off you, like it doesn't work. You can do all the best choices and change things up and try to be organic and try to just be in the moment.
Yeah.
But if they're like, this is my show, and when you're speaking, I just don't listen to you.
Yeah.
it's the hardest thing in the world because you're like, what? I might as well just be acting with a dictaphone. Just record the lines and play them. You know what I mean?
I've been really lucky to work opposite people who are really receptive to what you're doing, and they're not just waiting for their line to come next. Like they're actually listening to what you're saying and how you're saying it.
Yeah, it's the best, isn't it?
Oh my god, it's the best.
It's the best, especially if you've like suffered for a bit with a certain someone who doesn't listen.
Yeah. Or
isn't like, might be the nicest person in the world, but as an actor, they might be just really hard to act opposite with.
Yeah.
Because they're not there with you.
Yeah.
But as soon as you find someone who's there with you, you're like, oh, thank God for that.
This is the best, yeah.
And it's always a nerve-wracking like moment because even in rehearsals, you can't. It's hard to really find it. Do you know what I mean? And then one day you're like, they're there with me.
Yeah.
Which is a really good like discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. Sitting behind me.
That does look like a nice warm little spot.
Yeah.
I think I've been really lucky with people I've worked opposite. Like you. Jamie Moscato was really great to work with.
Yeah.
Lee Mead, lovely. Jason Manford, lovely.
Yeah.
The Heathers, Jodie and Tishan and Soph. And Becky Locke.
Yeah.
Rob Houchin.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky with the people that I work opposite.
Some great actors. It's really good. So in conclusion, I like to change things up a bit, but again, like I'd say, I don't pre-plan it, and I don't think anyone who does change it up does that. And I feel if you are pre-planning, it's probably going to like...
It doesn't work as well.
Just be organic. Yeah?
Yeah.
And you like just your structure of your show. It's nice.
I think that's just a reflection of my entire life. I like routine. I just like doing the same thing over and over. I'm a creature of habit.
This is a therapy session, by the way. Well, thanks for popping by, everyone. I hope you had a good time. Get home safe. CD's at the door.
CDs.
CDs, yeah. Right. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Be safe out there. Don't overthink things that are not that important. Do you like that? Bye.